Sometimes, love feels more like recognition than attraction, like finally seeing clearly something your heart has quietly known forever. Realizing love is a choice means understanding you must keep choosing someone, even on days when your feelings hesitate. We don't just fall in love with people, we fall in love with how they see us, and sometimes losing them means losing sight of ourselves. Attraction ignites easily. Emotional safety is built slowly. Missing someone before they even leave is the heart's anxious anticipation of an inevitable emptiness, the soul's quiet way of mourning what hasn't yet happened. Sometimes loneliness isn't the absence of others, but the presence of many who still leave you feeling unseen. The day I realized the difference between loneliness and solitude was the day I started enjoying my own company without needing to prove its worth to someone else. Loneliness isn't cured by being around people, but by feeling genuinely understood. Love teaches you not just about another person, but about parts of yourself you never would have discovered alone. There's vulnerability in letting someone truly know you, but there's courage in allowing them to keep knowing you long after they've seen your shadows. When love becomes safe, it isn't that your walls disappear, it's just that you find someone willing to stay patiently beside you as you take them down piece by piece. True love isn't about finding someone who never makes you question their feelings. It's finding someone whose answers consistently soothe your deepest fears. When I learned that love is something you choose daily, I began to understand why my heart always felt safer with those who stayed through difficult days rather than easy ones. People underestimate how deeply their childhood relationships shape their adult romantic patterns. You gravitate toward unavailable people because subconsciously, distance feels safer than the vulnerability of genuine honesty. If you consistently find yourself choosing emotionally unavailable partners, maybe it's because you've quietly learned to associate love with longing, mistaking uncertainty for depth. But love doesn't need to feel like a test of patience or a series of unanswered questions. True connection is gentle clarity. It doesn't force you to guess where you stand. You deserve a love that openly meets you halfway, not one that keeps you waiting endlessly at the edges. Recognizing this pattern isn't self-blame. It's softly acknowledging your heart's need for something secure and kind. The deepest relationships aren't always those that last forever, but those that transform something fundamental within us. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is accept that some relationships were never designed to endure. They existed only to show you what love can feel like. There's a certain kind of sadness in relationships that never fully begin. Conversations stop right before they reach real honesty. Plans are carefully suggested but never made. Both sides hold back, not because they want to, but because admitting what they truly feel would mean risking rejection. These connections linger softly on the edges of possibility, never crossing over into certainty, but never quite letting go either. We grieve people differently when we lose them to change instead of distance. They're right there, yet somehow impossibly far away. Missing someone isn't always about distance. Sometimes it's seeing something they'd laugh at and smiling quietly to yourself, knowing exactly what they'd say. You found your person when being apart feels like holding your breath, and being together feels like finally exhaling. When someone becomes important, their absence doesn't feel empty. It feels full of quiet reminders everywhere you look. Sometimes love feels like being homesick for someone even when they're sitting right next to you. Your mind keeps returning to certain people because they symbolize unresolved puzzles. Sometimes memories of love are kinder than love itself. They remove disagreements. You don't miss the person so much as you miss that edited version, the perfect story your mind carefully created from imperfect days. You miss not reality, but a momentary clarity that at some point, things felt exactly right. Jealousy isn't evidence of love. It's evidence of unmet emotional needs and fears of inadequacy. Sometimes people sabotage love because predictable chaos feels safer than unknown peace. Sometimes when someone secretly fears losing you, they'll inherently push you away, not because they want distance, but because distance feels safer than vulnerability. It's subtle. Their sentences become shorter, their laughter softer, their questions fewer. They might quietly create small misunderstandings, testing if you'll stay even when things get difficult. It's as if they're already bracing for goodbye, hoping that if they step back first, it won't hurt as much if you eventually do the same. Some people don't know they're pushing love away. They quietly create tests, subtle scenarios designed to prove their fears correct, that love isn't reliable, that people leave, that hope leads to disappointment. Each small failure seems to validate their caution, never realizing they've set the conditions that guaranteed the outcome from the start. Sometimes people mistake falling in love with someone for falling for who they wish that person would become. They hold on to conversations they've imagined, gestures never made, quiet moments of care that exist only in their imagination. Love built this way fades quickly, because eventually, reality gently dissolves the illusion, leaving behind disappointment where hopeful expectations once stood. People often mistake attachment for compatibility. Ask yourself, do you fall for people because they reflect what feels familiar, or because they genuinely offer what you need? Your subconscious mind often mistakes familiarity for safety, even if familiar patterns have hurt you before. Love is only safe when it doesn't repeat the patterns your mind already knows. We mistake familiarity for compatibility, but sometimes familiarity is merely an old wound repeating itself quietly. Do I truly love who they are, or do I love the idea of who they could become if they changed? Love based on potential rarely sustains because it hinges on a future that might never exist. You don't just love someone solely for who they are. You also love who you become around them. We often chase excitement in relationships, drawn to new experiences that feel thrilling. But eventually, it's the moments of calm and quiet comfort we crave, because that's where real emotional bonds are formed. At first, we seek passion because it makes us feel alive. But over time, love reveals itself in the ease and reassurance of someone who genuinely feels like home. Love isn't about constant emotional highs. It's about emotional steadiness that reassures the anxious mind. When you feel misunderstood, you don't crave someone who fixes your problems. You crave someone who simply says, "I see exactly why you feel that way." Your mind relaxes instantly with validation, because psychologically, feeling seen heals something deep inside of you. Love isn't always fixing. It's witnessing your struggle clearly and acknowledging it without judgment. Genuine connection doesn't mean never misunderstanding each other. It means feeling safe enough to clarify misunderstandings. The strongest relationships aren't built on constant agreement, but on the quiet comfort of knowing disagreements won't undo everything you've built.